Imagine if the story of civilization on Earth stretches back not just thousands of years, but millions. Imagine if long before our first cities, long before the earliest human ancestors walked upright, another intelligence already shaped this planet. Another culture, another society rising and falling on the very ground we stand upon today. This is the unsettling premise that challenges everything we think we know about our past. It suggests that humanity is not the beginning, but perhaps only a recent chapter in a much grander, far older story. For generations, we have told ourselves a singular narrative that our species alone holds the torch of intelligence on Earth. We trace our lineage from primitive beginnings through the slow dawn of agriculture, the rise of empires, and the relentless march of technological progress. This anthropocentric bias is woven into the fabric of our history books, our scientific understanding, and our very identity. We assume that because we are here now, we must be the first, the apex, the unique experiment of evolution on this world. Our archaeological digs reach back a few millennia, uncovering ancient pottery, buried structures, and the skeletal remains of our forebears. But our gaze seldom extends beyond the familiar, beyond the time when our own species held dominion. We instinctively look for echoes of ourselves in the past, for remnants that fit our own understanding of intelligence and civilization. And when we find nothing that directly matches our expectations, we conclude that nothing else existed. The absence of evidence, in this limited view, becomes the evidence of absence. Yet this deeply ingrained human-centric perspective may be our greatest blind spot. It prevents us from asking the most profound questions about the true age of Earth and what secrets it might hold beneath layers of rock and time. It shackles our imagination to a timeline that is, in cosmic terms, barely a blink. What if our recorded history, our entire understanding of human progress, is merely the latest overlay on a canvas that has been painted over countless times? The Earth itself bears scars far older and deeper than any human mark. It is a planet that has undergone cycles of immense transformation, punctuated by cataclysms and resurfacing events that could easily erase entire epochs from memory. To truly grapple with this idea, we must first confront the immense scale of what scientists call deep time. Our human minds struggle to comprehend stretches of millions, let alone billions of years. We think in generations, in centuries, in the brief span of recorded history. But Earth's story is vastly longer, a saga of unimaginable duration. The age of our planet is estimated at 4.5 billion years. The first forms of life appeared over 3.5 billion years ago. Dinosaurs roamed for 165 million years. Our own species, Homo sapiens, has only existed for a mere 300,000 years, and complex technological civilization for barely a few thousand. This profound disparity in timescales means that between the rise of the first life and the emergence of humanity, there lies a colossal expanse of history, an almost infinite canvas where anything could have happened, flourished, and then vanished without a trace. Consider the impermanence of our own achievements. If all humanity vanished today, how much of our intricate civilization would remain discernible in 1,000,000 years, or 10 million, or 100 million? The answer is sobering. Tectonic plates are constantly shifting, grinding continents, subducting land masses, and raising mountains. Rivers erode, winds scour, and glaciers carve landscapes. Volcanoes erupt, burying vast regions under molten rock and ash. Over geologic eons, even our most robust structures, our pyramids, our cities of steel and concrete, our dams, would be pulverized, dissolved, and recycled back into the Earth's crust. Our plastics would break down, our metals corrode, and our digital data would be lost in the void. What little might survive would likely be compressed into unrecognizable geologic strata, indistinguishable from natural rock formations to any future observer. The implications of deep time are startlingly profound. If an advanced civilization existed on Earth not thousands, but tens of millions of years ago, or even hundreds of millions of years ago, the chances of us finding undeniable evidence would be astronomically small. The fossil record is incredibly sparse, representing only a tiny fraction of past life, and the fossil record of technology or intelligent structures would be even more so. This means that the silence from the deep past does not necessarily confirm absence. It may simply attest to the immense power of geological processes to erase, to bury, and to transform. It means the Earth has been alive, vibrant, and evolving for far longer than our historical imagination typically allows, offering countless opportunities for other forms of intelligence to rise, thrive, and then vanish into the annals of deep time. This forces us to ask a profound, almost uncomfortable question. What might truly precede our recorded past? What forgotten chapters of Earth's story have been written and then meticulously erased by the relentless hand of planetary processes? Was Earth always a waiting ground for humanity, or did it host other magnificent, complex stories that unfolded and concluded long before our kind ever emerged? This is not mere speculation, it is an exploration of the vast, unexplored possibilities inherent in our planet's staggering age. If the conditions for intelligence and civilization are not unique to our brief moment in time, then the history of Earth could be far richer, far more complex, and far more humbling than we ever dared to imagine. It means our story might be but one thread in a tapestry woven over eons, a tapestry whose other patterns are shrouded in the mists of time, waiting to be rediscovered, or perhaps forever lost, to the planet's silent memory. The journey into Earth's forgotten annals is a venture into a scale of time so vast it dwarfs all human experience. Our documented history, stretching back merely a few thousand years, is but a fleeting breath in the immense geologic saga of this planet. To truly grasp the possibility of ancient civilizations preceding our own, we must first confront the profound indifference of deep time and the relentless forces that have continuously reshaped the very surface we stand upon today. Earth is not a static archive, preserving every past moment like a pristine scroll. Instead, it is a dynamic, living entity, a palimpsest constantly being written over, erased, and rewritten. For billions of years, powerful planetary mechanisms have been at work. Mechanisms capable of utterly devouring the most magnificent monuments, the most advanced cities, and even entire land masses. If advanced societies once thrived on this world long before the emergence of Homo sapiens, then their disappearance might not be a mystery born of absence, but a testament to the planet's own ceaseless transformation. One of the most potent agents of planetary erasure is tectonic activity. Our world's outer shell is a mosaic of colossal plates, ceaselessly grinding, colliding, and sliding underneath one another over millions of years. Continents drift, oceans open and close, and mountain ranges are thrust upwards only to be slowly worn down. A landmass that existed 100 million years ago might now be submerged beneath an ocean or consumed entirely by a subduction zone drawn back into the planet's fiery mantle. No trace, not a single brick or beam would remain to tell its story. The evidence would not merely be hidden, it would utterly be unmade. Coupled with tectonic forces are the relentless processes of erosion. Wind, water, and ice are the planet's sculptors, endlessly carving and reshaping its surface. Rivers carry sediments from mountains to seas, grinding away rock over eons. Glaciers, during periods of immense cold, can scour continents clean, obliterating landscapes and anything upon them under colossal sheets of moving ice. Winds laden with abrasive dust polish and wear down exposed rock, turning jagged peaks into gentle slopes and eventually into plains. Any structure, no matter how robust, is vulnerable to this persistent assault. Concrete crumbles, metals corrode, and even the hardest stone yield over geologic timescales. A civilization's monumental achievements, its roads, its dams, its colossal statues would be slowly abraded, scattered and dissolved, their fragments swept away to become indistinguishable grains of sand in a distant desert or silt at the bottom of a deep ocean trench. The very materials we associate with permanence are merely temporary in the grand scheme of Earth's history. Then there is sedimentation, a process that both buries and preserves, yet simultaneously hides and distorts. As erosion strips away material from one place, it deposits it in another. Lakes fill, river deltas expand, and oceans slowly accumulate layers of sediment. Over millions of years, these layers can become thousands of feet thick, compressing and transforming buried material into new rock. An entire metropolis could be entombed beneath such deposits, its precise location forgotten, its structures crushed and recrystallized. While some buried remnants might theoretically be preserved as fossils, the odds of finding coherent, recognizable artifacts of an advanced society, especially one built from non-organic materials, are astronomically low. The deeper we dig into Earth's past, the more intense the pressure and heat become, transforming original matter into something utterly different. The subtle hints we might seek, a geometric pattern, an unusual mineral composition, would likely be mistaken for natural geological features, indistinguishable from the background noise of Earth's own formation. Volcanic processes add another layer of potential destruction and burial. Earth is dotted with volcanoes, both active and dormant, capable of unleashing incredible power. Lava flows can engulf vast areas, solidifying into solid rock that covers everything beneath it. Ashfalls can bury entire landscapes under hundreds of feet of material, preserving some elements, but destroying and entombing countless others. Over time, these volcanic layers are themselves subject to erosion and tectonic movement, further complicating any archaeological search. Imagine a civilization flourishing in a fertile volcanic region. A cataclysmic eruption could wipe it from the surface, burying its entire existence under a new layer of the planet's skin, only for that layer to be folded, faulted, and subducted millions of years later, erasing it from the record entirely. The Earth is continually renewing itself, and in this renewal, old stories are often obliterated. These mechanisms, tectonics, erosion, sedimentation, and volcanism, do not operate in isolation. They are interwoven, forming a vast, complex planetary system of creation and destruction. Together, over hundreds of millions of years, they constitute an almost perfect engine of historical erasure. What this suggests is that even if multiple advanced civilizations rose and fell on Earth over its 4.5 billion year history, the probability of finding clear, unambiguous evidence of them diminishes exponentially with time. The deeper into the past we look, the greater the likelihood that any tangible traces would have been ground to dust, dissolved to elements, or dragged into the molten core. This brings us to a concept that helps frame this planetary impermanence, the Silurian hypothesis. Proposed by scientists looking at the challenge of detecting alien civilizations on other planets, it asks a profound question. Could an industrial civilization that existed on Earth millions of years ago have left any detectable trace for us to find today? The answer, surprisingly, is that it would be extraordinarily difficult, perhaps even impossible. Most of the materials we use for our own civilization, plastics, complex electronics, even much of our metal infrastructure, would decay rapidly over geological timescales. Plastics break down, metals corrode and rust. Concrete, while appearing robust, weathers and cracks. Over a span of, say, 100 million years, what would remain?
The fossil record, which so meticulously preserves the bones of ancient animals and the imprints of ancient plants, is incredibly biased. It primarily records organisms with hard parts in specific environments conducive to rapid burial and minimal disturbance. A city, built of inorganic materials, would not fossilize like a dinosaur. Its technosignatures, the unique chemical or physical imprints of its industrial activity, would be diffused, diluted, and transformed by geological processes. The widespread presence of complex molecules like plastics might leave a trace, but identifying it as artificial rather than natural after such a long time, mixed and altered by geological processes, would be an almost insurmountable task. The energy signatures, the atmospheric changes, the distinct geological strata of a hypothetical Silurian civilization would be so subtle and so thoroughly integrated into the planet's background noise that distinguishing them from natural cycles would require an observational precision we likely do not possess. The hypothesis concludes that even if a technologically advanced species had inhabited Earth for hundreds of thousands of years, a mere blink in geological time, its impact on the long-term geological or atmospheric record would be virtually undetectable after tens of millions of years. It's a sobering thought. The Earth itself could be a grave for countless vanished histories. Beyond these gradual, continuous processes of erasure, Earth has also experienced periods of sudden, catastrophic reset. Global cataclysms, though rare, are powerful enough to radically alter the course of life and geology, acting as profound historical discontinuities. Supervolcanoes, for instance, are not merely large eruptions. They are events that can plunge the entire planet into a volcanic winter, blocking out the sun with vast ash clouds for years, triggering rapid climate shifts and causing mass extinctions. The eruption of the Toba supervolcano approximately 74,000 years ago is thought to have created a human population bottleneck, drastically reducing our numbers. Imagine a civilization far more advanced than ours, caught in the grip of such an event. Not only would its populations be decimated, but its entire technological footprint could be buried under miles of ash and lava, its very memory erased from the collective planetary consciousness long before any future species could arise to find it. Asteroid impacts pose another terrifying threat. While less frequent than volcanic events, the impact of a sufficiently large asteroid can trigger global firestorms, tsunamis of unimaginable scale, and a prolonged impact winter that reshapes ecosystems worldwide. The Chicxulub impact 66 million years ago, responsible for the extinction of the non-avian dinosaurs, serves as a stark reminder of Earth's vulnerability. Such an event would not only decimate any existing civilization, but the subsequent geological turmoil, the widespread sedimentation, the climate chaos, the potential alteration of land masses would serve as an almost perfect eraser of its physical legacy. The immediate destruction would be absolute, followed by millions of years of geological processing that would blend any surviving remnants into the chaotic strata of the New Age. Finally, rapid climate shifts, whether triggered by volcanic activity, asteroid impacts, or natural orbital variations, can profoundly reshape the planet and its inhabitants. Periods of extreme ice ages, known as snowball Earth events, saw the planet almost entirely covered in ice from pole to equator. Conversely, periods of rapid global warming led to soaring sea levels and vast desertification. Such dramatic environmental restructuring would stress any advanced civilization to its breaking point. Societies reliant on specific ecological niches or particular energy sources would collapse, their populations scattering or dying out. The changes in sea level alone, rising and falling by hundreds of meters over geological epochs, would submerge coastal cities, expose deep ocean trenches, and radically redraw the map of continents, rendering any fixed archaeological site virtually impossible to find. Over millions of years, these repeated cycles of climatic upheaval would act as continuous purges, ensuring that only the most resilient or the most deeply buried could possibly endure. The Earth, then, is a testament to constant change, a planet of deep, transformative power. If civilizations existed before humans, if they built wonders and charted stars, their stories are likely entombed beneath layers of rock and ice, crushed by tectonic plates, or dissolved by the ceaseless work of wind and water. This understanding shifts the search for these lost histories from a matter of simply looking for ruins to a deeper, more challenging quest, discerning subtle, almost imperceptible patterns in a planetary record that has been overwhelmingly overwritten by the very forces of the living world itself. This immense difficulty in detecting past life on Earth doesn't invalidate the idea. It merely reframes the challenge, making the prospect of finding even the faintest echo of a prior age all the more profound and unsettling. It leads us to wonder, what subtle clues might remain, patiently waiting, defying the vastness of time and the Earth's own determined amnesia.
Even as the relentless march of geological time grinds away at mountains and tectonic shifts erase continents, some echoes persist. If the vast forces of planetary erasure have done their work, burying or obliterating the most obvious traces of what came before us, then what remains might be fragments. Not the grand monuments of a thriving civilization, but subtle anomalies. Whispers in the stone, riddles in ancient texts, and engineering feats that defy the known capabilities of their supposed builders. These are the signatures that escape the processes of decay, the fingerprints left behind not by humans, but by something far older, far more enigmatic. This is where we turn to the most compelling and often most controversial evidence, the out-of-place artifacts and impossible structures that challenge the very timeline of human history. For generations, archaeologists and historians have pieced together the narrative of human development, a story of slow, incremental progress from simple tools to complex societies. But scattered across the globe are discoveries that do not fit this linear progression. These are the out-of-place artifacts, or OOPATTS, objects found in geological strata or archaeological contexts that utterly contradict our understanding of when and how such items could have been created. They are not merely ancient, they are anachronistic, implying a level of technology or knowledge that should not have existed at their purported time of origin. Consider the Koso artifact, a small bell-shaped object encased within a geode discovered by prospectors in California in 1961. The rock formation that enclosed it was estimated to be at least 500,000 years old, a span of time far predating any known human civilization, let alone one capable of crafting such a device. While often debated as a spark plug from a 1920s vehicle, its deep encapsulation within ancient rock layers remains a puzzle. If it truly is a human-made object, its presence pushes back the timeline of advanced industry by 500,000 years, or it suggests a civilization with complex machinery existed in an epoch we deem primitive. The implications are profound, hinting at an industrial past that predates us by countless millennia. Then there is the perplexing case of metallic spheres found in pyrophyllite mines in South Africa. Described as small, perfectly spherical objects, some etched with 3 parallel grooves around their equators, they were extracted from a geological deposit dated at approximately 2.8 billion years old. For context, complex multicellular life on Earth only appeared around 600 million years ago, and our own species is a mere few 100,000 years old. The existence of precision-engineered spheres from a time when Earth was barely out of its infancy, before even the most basic life forms were taking hold, forces us to confront a history wildly different from our textbooks. Mainstream science often dismisses these as natural concretions, geological formations that can mimic manufactured shapes. Yet their uniform spherical nature, the intentional-looking grooves on some, and their sheer age leave a lingering question. How could nature, with such uncanny regularity, produce objects that so closely resemble the products of intelligent design at a time when intelligence was thought to be a distant future? It is not just the existence of these objects, but their context, deeply buried in ancient strata, that suggests a past far more complex and technologically advanced than our current models allow. These are not isolated curiosities. They are persistent anomalies that chip away at the edifice of our established historical narrative, suggesting that the Earth itself may hold secrets of an advanced industrial age that long predates humanity. Moving beyond individual artifacts, we encounter ancient maps that seem to possess knowledge far beyond their creators' eras purported to imply. These cartographic curiosities depict landmasses, coastlines, and geographical features that were supposedly unknown until modern times, achieved only with advanced navigational and surveying techniques. The Puri-Reis map, compiled in 1513 by an Ottoman admiral, is perhaps the most famous example. It depicts the coastlines of West Africa, South America, and, most controversially, a portion of Antarctica, seemingly free of ice, a condition that has not existed for at least 6,000 years and potentially much longer. The map shows intricate details of Antarctica's Queen Maud Land, a region not officially discovered until 1818 and not mapped in detail until the 20th century using seismic sounding. How could a 16th century mapmaker have access to such precise information about a continent hidden beneath miles of ice for millennia?
The explanation offered by mainstream historians is that Piri-Reis simply compiled earlier source maps, some of which are now lost. But this only pushes the question back. Who created those original source maps? Who possessed the global surveying capabilities to accurately chart a coastline that was ice-free tens of thousands of years ago? Similar enigmas emerged from the Orienteus Phineus map of 1531, which also accurately depicts the continental outline of Antarctica, again with ice-free river valleys and mountain ranges that would be invisible today. These maps are not crude approximations. They display remarkable accuracy, particularly in their longitudinal measurements, a feat that eluded European navigators until the late 18th century with the invention of reliable chronometers. They challenge the very foundation of our understanding of ancient geography and technological achievement. They suggest a global civilization, or at least one with unparalleled cartographic abilities, that existed at a time when our ancestors were still hunter-gatherers, a civilization with the means to map the entire planet, perhaps even from an aerial perspective. Their very existence forces us to confront a deep history of exploration and knowledge that has been utterly erased from our conventional records, leaving only these tantalizing paper ghosts as a testament to their presence. Further still, the physical world itself presents us with structures and construction techniques that seem to defy the capabilities of the cultures credited with their creation. Across continents, monumental edifices stand as silent witnesses to engineering prowess that remains baffling even to modern minds. Consider the Trilithon at Baalbek in Lebanon, 3 massive stone blocks, each weighing over 800 tons, forming part of a Roman temple foundation. The Romans were undoubtedly master builders, but how they lifted and precisely placed stones of this immense size, rivaling the weight of a small warship, remains an unsolved puzzle. Even more intriguing are the foundation stones, particularly the stone of the pregnant woman in a nearby quarry weighing an estimated 1,000 to 1,200 tons. This single monolithic block is among the largest ever quarried, and the question of how it was intended to be moved, let alone incorporated into a structure, remains unanswered. In the Andes, the ancient site of Pumapunku in Bolivia presents an even more perplexing challenge. Its ruins, composed of massive blocks of finely cut andesite and diorite, showcase a level of precision stonework that confounds modern engineers.
The H-blocks, some weighing tens of tons, are cut with such perfect right angles, flat surfaces, and intricate interlocking notches that they appear as if machined with diamond-tipped tools. The precision is such that a razor blade cannot be inserted between many of the joints. Mainstream archaeology attributes these structures to the Tiwanaku culture, dating back to around 500 to 1000 AD. Yet the tools and techniques available to them seem utterly inadequate for shaping such hard stone with such extraordinary accuracy. It is not merely the weight of the stones, but the geometric perfection of their cuts and the complexity of their interlocking designs that suggest a technology far more advanced than that described in textbooks. These structures are not crude attempts at monumental building. They are examples of sophisticated engineering and architectural planning, implying a knowledge of geometry, metallurgy, and material science that should not have existed at that time. They stand as enduring questions, demanding a re-evaluation of who built them and with what forgotten methods. These are not merely ancient ruins, they are a direct challenge to the timeline of human technological development, suggesting a prior epoch of builders with capabilities we still struggle to replicate.
Beyond the visible structures, our collective memory, preserved in myths and legends, speaks of a forgotten past. Across virtually every culture on Earth, from the Sumerians to the Maya, from the Norse to the Aboriginal Australians, there exists a pervasive and consistent narrative: the Great Flood. These global deluge myths, though varied in their details, share striking commonalities. They describe a cataclysmic event where a divine power, or nature itself, unleashed a deluge of water that submerged the world, wiping out nearly all life and resetting civilization. Often, a chosen few survive, tasked with rebuilding humanity in a new world. The universality of this narrative, found in societies separated by vast oceans and millennia of time, suggests not independent invention, but perhaps a shared memory of a truly global, devastating event. Was this a localized flood, amplified through oral tradition, or does it hint at a planetary cataclysm that fundamentally reshaped Earth and its inhabitants? Intertwined with these flood narratives are the legends of lost continents and sunken lands: Atlantis, Lemuria, Mu. Plato's account of Atlantis describes a powerful, technologically advanced maritime empire that succumbed to the sea in a single day and night of catastrophic floods and earthquakes around 9,000 years before his time. While often dismissed as allegory, the persistence of such tales across cultures, from the Pacific to the Atlantic, where land masses supposedly vanished beneath the waves, is intriguing. Could these not merely be myths, but distorted, fragmented recollections of real land masses that existed in a far distant past, perhaps home to civilizations swept away by the same geological and climatic forces that were discussed earlier? These legends speak to us of a world different from our own, a world with different geographies, where the land and sea might have been arranged differently, supporting societies that have now become the stuff of myth. They are a profound challenge to our understanding of ancient geography, suggesting that parts of Earth's surface that are now submerged were once dry land, perhaps for millions of years, capable of nurturing complex societies. They hint at not just a forgotten past, but a forgotten world, submerged and silent, yet living on in the deep memory of humanity. And finally, woven through the very fabric of ancient human belief systems is the ubiquitous narrative of sky people, or advanced beings who descended from the heavens to impart knowledge to early humans. From the Sumerian accounts of the Anunnaki teaching agriculture and writing, to the Egyptian Neturo guiding the construction of their civilization, to the Mesoamerican Quetzalcoatl bringing wisdom and order, the pattern is remarkably consistent. These beings are not typically described as gods in the modern sense, but as powerful, technologically superior entities who arrived from above, possessing knowledge that allowed humanity to leap forward from a primitive state. The Dogon tribe of Mali, for instance, possesses an astonishingly accurate cosmological knowledge of the Sirius star system, including details of Sirius B, a white dwarf star invisible to the naked eye and only confirmed by modern astronomy in the 19th century. Their legends claim this knowledge was given to them by amphibious beings called the Nomo, who came from Sirius.
Why would disparate cultures, separated by geography and time, all share this common theme of benevolent, technologically advanced instructors from the sky? If humanity's journey was one of purely indigenous development, these narratives seem unnecessary, even contradictory. But if our species was not the first, if a prior civilization had indeed reached a level of technological sophistication that allowed them to transcend their planetary origins or master advanced sciences, then the idea of teachers makes sense. These sky people could be the remnants, the observers, or even the architects of a new beginning for humanity after a cataclysmic reset. Their stories are not merely fantastical tales, they are consistent records of an interaction, a transfer of knowledge that suggests a profound external influence on the very genesis of our civilization. They imply that humanity's rapid ascent was not solely our own doing, but perhaps a guided process, initiated by beings who had already traversed the path of civilization and who chose, for reasons we can only speculate upon, to share their wisdom with a nascent species. These narratives, far from being just myths, could be the most direct linguistic echoes of the long-forgotten truth that we are not the first, and that our story is inextricably linked to those who came before. And so we confront the profound paradox. If advanced civilizations truly walked this earth before us, building, learning, and shaping their world, why then is their grand narrative met by such a deep echoing silence? We have explored the planet's immense geological memory, its relentless forces of erosion, burial, and continental drift, all powerful mechanisms for erasing history. But the disappearance of an advanced society, particularly one with sophisticated technologies, might not only be the work of a planet's natural processes, it might also be the story of an ending, an intentional or accidental cessation, a great silence of their own making. This brings us to a more unsettling thought. Beyond the crushing weight of deep time and the planet's geological amnesia, what if these ancient societies were responsible for their own demise? What if their advanced capabilities, far from ensuring their survival, instead became the very instruments of their undoing? The history of human civilization, brief as it is, already whispers of such dangers, of technologies that outpace wisdom, of ambitions that override foresight. For a civilization that might have existed millions of years ago, the scale of such self-inflicted destruction could be unfathomable, leaving traces so utterly alien that we might not even recognize them as a final epitaph. Consider first the chilling prospect of advanced warfare. Our own species, for all its youth, has already developed weapons capable of fundamentally altering planetary life. Imagine a civilization tens of millions of years older, with technology so far beyond our comprehension that their conflicts could literally reshape continents or fracture the very stability of the planet. A global conflict of such magnitude would not just destroy cities, it could unleash energy releases so vast they might register in the geological record as inexplicable anomalies. Perhaps a sudden widespread vitrification of vast desert regions, turning sand into glass under immense heat, or perhaps a scattering of exotic non-natural isotopes across stratigraphic layers, echoing a furious exchange of power. Such an event would leave a signature, not of gradual decay, but of abrupt, apocalyptic devastation. But how would we distinguish such a cataclysmic war from a naturally occurring supervolcanic eruption or the impact of a large asteroid, events we know have repeatedly scarred our world? The subtle difference would lie in the specific chemical fingerprints in energy signatures that hint at an intelligence rather than brute cosmic force. Even these would diminish over eons, blurring into the background noise of Earth's violent past. Then there is the quiet, insidious catastrophe of ecological collapse. A civilization that masters its environment, drawing immense energy and resources, also risks profoundly altering the delicate balance of its world. What if, like us, they over-extracted vital elements, polluted the atmosphere, or irreversibly changed the global climate through their own technological hubris? Their ingenuity might have solved immediate problems, but created far larger, systemic ones over generations.
Imagine, for instance, a world where an advanced society in its quest for energy depleted a crucial atmospheric gas, or unleashed a biological agent designed for terraforming that went catastrophically awry. The evidence would be a subtle yet profound shift in the planet's chemistry, an unnatural acceleration of environmental change. We might see unusual shifts in oxygen or carbon levels in ancient ice cores, or the sudden, inexplicable extinction of entire ecosystems during periods when natural forces offered no clear explanation. It would not be the direct footprint of a city, but the ghost of a poisoned world, a silent testament to a civilization that unknowingly engineered its own demise, leaving only the memory of its waste in the planet's deep stratigraphy.
And what of technological hubris, a more abstract yet equally potent threat? Advanced intelligences might develop artificial intelligences that surpass their creators, or self-replicating nanotechnologies that consume the biosphere in a gray goo scenario. Perhaps they sought to transcend physical form, uploading their consciousness into vast networks, only for those networks to suffer a catastrophic failure, leaving no biological descendants. In such scenarios, the disappearance would be swift and complete, leaving behind no recognizable ruins, only perhaps inexplicable gaps in the biological record, or a curious lack of activity where once a vibrant ecosystem thrived. The remnants might be not physical structures, but complex yet inert chemical compounds, or strange, ordered mineral formations that hint at an impossible, non-biological synthesis. The challenge here is the absence itself. How do you prove something existed based on its complete and utter disappearance? It becomes a shadow cast by the lack of expected natural progression, a whisper in the silence. The true cunning of deep time lies in its ability to degrade not only biological traces, but also the most advanced of technologies. We build our societies with steel, concrete, and plastics, materials we consider durable. Yet, over millions of years, these too will crumble. The iron will rust into dust, the concrete will dissolve under acidic rain, and even plastics will break down into microparticles, eventually subsumed by the geological cycle. But what if ancient civilizations built with materials vastly superior to our own? What if their technology was not based on dense metals or volatile chemicals, but on crystalline structures, energy fields, or even biological polymers designed to be resilient beyond our understanding? Even these, however, face the relentless march of geological epochs. Subduction zones would drag entire continents beneath others, melting any buried structures back into magma. Volcanic eruptions would bury surfaces under hundreds of meters of ash and lava. The sheer energy of tectonic plates colliding over millions of years can erase mountain ranges. It can certainly erase any structure, no matter how robust. Consider the possibility that their technologies were not designed for permanence in our sense, but for efficiency or adaptability. Perhaps their cities were biological constructs that withered and decayed like forests, or energy forms that simply dissipated. Their tools might have been composed of self-disintegrating elements, or designed to return to their base components once their function was complete, leaving no lasting physical artifact. The subtle decay of such non-human technology would be a profound challenge for future archaeologists. We search for straight lines, right angles, and specific material compositions that scream manufactured. But what if their manufacturing processes were indistinguishable from natural crystallization, or their structures grew like mountains, merging seamlessly with the geology? The evidence wouldn't be a shard of pottery, but perhaps
an unusual isotopic ratio in a specific rock layer, or an anomalous magnetic signature that hints at an ancient power source long since rendered inert. The very sophistication of their materials could, paradoxically, make them utterly invisible to our current methods of detection. This leads us to the most difficult aspect of this inquiry, the profound challenge of recognizing non-human artifacts or ruins that defy our expectations. Our understanding of what constitutes an artifact is deeply rooted in our own history and biological form. We expect tools to fit a hand, structures to provide shelter, and symbols to convey meaning in ways our human brains can process. But what if a civilization was not humanoid? What if its builders were silicon-based, or gas-based, or lived in a different dimensional reality? Their tools might be resonant frequencies, their cities crystalline formations that channel energy, or their writing patterns of electromagnetic radiation imprinted into the very fabric of space-time. Imagine attempting to identify the remains of a non-carbon-based life form's technology. Their shelters might be vast, hollowed-out subterranean caverns, perfectly smooth and geometrically precise, yet we might dismiss them as natural lava tubes or geological formations. Their machines might resemble intricate mineral veins or patterns of ancient root systems. The very concept of a ruin implies a detectable structure, a deliberate alteration of the landscape. But if an advanced civilization integrated itself so perfectly into the planet's natural systems, or if its technology was designed to mimic natural forms, how would we ever differentiate it from the Earth itself? The formations we might dismiss as mere eroded hills could in fact be the final weathered fragments of a colossal, planet-spanning engine. A strange arrangement of rocks could be a forgotten observatory, its purpose lost, its function misinterpreted as a simple geological anomaly. Our current archaeological methods are built upon looking for discrepancies, for signs that do not fit the natural world. But what if the defining characteristic of an advanced, non-human civilization was its ability to blend, to leave no obvious discrepancy for millions of years? We might be searching for the monumental, for the Atlantis of legend, when the true legacy lies in something far more subtle, an imperceptible alteration in the planet's crust, a lingering energetic signature beneath miles of ice, or a perfectly formed crystalline lattice that appears natural but required impossible conditions to form. The artifacts could be microscopic, encoded within the very rock, or planetary in scale, forming the very mountains and valleys we deem natural. The face on Mars, a trick of light and shadow, taught us how readily our minds seek patterns, especially those familiar to us. But what if a truly alien pattern, a non-human face, were staring us in the geological record, and we simply lacked the cognitive framework to recognize it? The challenge is not just that the evidence might be gone, but that even if it exists, it might be hiding in plain sight, disguised by the sheer alienness of its origin. The Great Silence might not be an absence of evidence, but an absence of understanding on our part, a failure to read the true language of a history written in a script utterly unlike our own. This fundamental gap in perception ensures that even with the most advanced probes and analytical tools, we could be forever blind to the subtle yet profound echoes of civilizations that existed before humans and vanished in ways we are only beginning to imagine. The evidence of deep time and planetary erasure, the anomalies in our archaeological record, and the chilling possibility of self-inflicted decline all combine to paint a portrait of forgotten histories. But what if the story does not end with absence? What if some echoes of these ancient civilizations, those that existed long before our own, did not vanish entirely? This leads us to a more unsettling thought. What if they are still here, hidden from our sight, enduring beneath the veneer of the world we believe we know? The question shifts from what was to what remains, and crucially, where it remains. When we consider the sheer scale of Earth's surface that lies largely unexplored, one vast realm immediately comes to mind: the deep ocean. It is a world unto itself, a place of crushing pressures, eternal darkness, and alien landscapes, more alien perhaps than the surface of Mars. For any advanced civilization facing existential threats on the surface, whether from cataclysms, climate shifts, or even their own destructive tendencies, the ocean depths would offer an unparalleled refuge.
Imagine a civilization, perhaps one that mastered advanced metallurgy or energy generation, adapting to the abyssal plains. They would not need our sunlight or our atmospheric pressures. Their technology might harness the immense geothermal energy of hydrothermal vents, or synthesize resources from the chemical richness of the deep. Buildings could be carved from basalt, impervious to surface-level changes, or constructed from exotic materials designed to withstand the crushing weight of miles of water. Life in such an environment would be shaped by different rules, perhaps favoring bioluminescence for illumination, or entirely new forms of sustenance gleaned from the planet's internal heat. Such a society could have thrived in isolation for millions of years, unnoticed and undisturbed by the ephemeral civilizations that rise and fall on the volatile landmasses above. We have explored less than 5% of our oceans, a staggering expanse of the unknown. Our submersibles barely scratch the surface of this submerged world, probing only tiny pockets of its vastness. Even advanced sonar and imaging techniques struggle to penetrate the layers of water and sediment, making detection of any hidden structures, let alone active societies, nearly impossible. A civilization, if it chose to retreat here, would be perfectly concealed, protected not by distance, but by an almost impenetrable blanket of water and the sheer limitations of our own technology. The deep ocean, therefore, remains a profound mystery, a silent witness to Earth's deep past, and potentially a sanctuary for histories we have yet to uncover. Yet the ocean is not the only place of concealment. The Earth itself, beneath its crust, offers another vast frontier of the unexplored: subterranean worlds. Our planet is crisscrossed with immense cave systems, some stretching for hundreds of miles, far larger than any human-made tunnel. But beyond these natural formations, we can also conceive of engineered spaces, vast underground cities, carved by technologies far beyond our current capabilities. Consider a civilization that foresaw impending surface cataclysms or a decline in habitability. Retreating underground would offer immediate protection from solar radiation, meteor impacts, and extreme climate shifts. Access to geothermal energy for power and heating would be constant and reliable. Water could be sourced from deep aquifers, meticulously recycled in closed-loop systems. Food production might rely on advanced hydroponics or bioluminescent agriculture, sustaining populations in self-contained ecosystems. Such subterranean havens could be engineered to withstand geological ages, protected by miles of rock, their entrances sealed and forgotten, leaving no discernible trace on the dynamic surface. Our current methods of probing the deep Earth, primarily through seismic imaging, offer only blurry glimpses into its internal structure. We can detect major geological shifts, but distinguishing artificial voids or complex structures from natural rock formations would be incredibly challenging, especially after millions of years of shifting strata and sediment infill. These civilizations, if they chose the deep Earth, would have traded the sky for eternal stone, evolving in ways we can barely comprehend, their existence a silent counterpoint to our noisy surface world. But what if the survivors of these ancient civilizations, having reached the zenith of their development, transcended the very need for physical refuge? This brings us to a concept far more abstract: the possibility of non-physical or hyperdimensional existence. For a civilization that achieved an ultimate understanding of physics,
consciousness, and the very fabric of reality, the constraints of matter and space might become optional. Imagine entities that evolved beyond biological forms, perhaps transferring their consciousness into advanced energy states or quantum fields. Their existence would be interwoven with the fundamental forces of the universe, occupying dimensions or frequencies beyond our three-dimensional perception. For them, cities and tools would be obsolete. They would exist as pure information, pure consciousness, or in a state where their physical manifestation could be chosen or dissolved at will. This level of advancement implies a mastery of reality that would render them utterly invisible and undetectable to our current science and senses. They would not be hidden in the traditional sense, but rather they would simply exist in a different mode of being, operating on a plane of existence we are only beginning to glimpse in theoretical physics. Such a presence would not leave artifacts or ruins, for their civilization would be one of pure thought, energy, or hyperdimensional architecture, a living legacy encoded in the very structure of the cosmos, inaccessible to our probes and telescopes. And if such advanced entities, whether physical in deep oceans or subterranean worlds, or non-physical in other dimensions, do exist, what would be their relationship to the new civilization that eventually arose on the surface, to us? This raises the concept of advanced observational entities, civilizations that have chosen to recede, to remain unseen, and to observe humanity from a distance. If these ancient predecessors or their descendants survived, it is conceivable they adopted a philosophy of non-interference, much like a theoretical prime directive for cosmic neighbors. Their reasons could be manifold: to allow humanity to develop organically without external influence, to study the evolution of a successor civilization on their former home, or perhaps out of a profound understanding of the delicate balance of planetary life. They might exist in their hidden aquatic or subterranean cities, or as energetic forms, silently monitoring our progress, our conflicts, our triumphs, and our inevitable missteps. Their observation would not be crude or obvious. It would be subtle, perhaps manipulating quantum probabilities, influencing collective consciousness on a level we perceive as intuition or coincidence, or operating with cloaking technologies that defy our physical detection. The unsettling thought lingers. We believe ourselves to be the sole stewards of this planet, the pinnacle of its intelligence, yet we may be living under the unblinking gaze of ancient observers, descendants of those who walked this earth eons before our species even stirred in the primal oceans. They might be witnesses to our entire story, an ancient audience to the drama of human civilization, having themselves experienced their own rise and fall, and now perhaps quietly contemplating our trajectory. The enduring presence of what was, therefore, transforms our understanding of Earth's history from a simple narrative of beginning to a complex tapestry of continuation and profound concealment. It forces us to confront the possibility that the apparent silence of deep time is not an absence, but a veil. The remnants, the survivors, the evolved forms of these ancient civilizations might not be gone at all. They might simply be waiting, observing, or existing in a state we are yet to comprehend, a testament to the enduring mystery of our own planet. This radical shift in perspective invites us to look at our world with new eyes, not just as a cradle of new life, but as a vast, ancient stage where countless acts have already unfolded, and where some players may still remain, hidden beneath the surface of our awareness. The possibility, woven through centuries of whispers and amplified by the anomalies unearthed from Earth's ancient strata, presents a reckoning. If we are not the first intelligent architects of this world, if sophisticated minds once pondered the stars from this very planet long before our earliest ancestors gazed upon them, then the implications reverberate through every layer of our understanding. It demands a profound shift in our perception, not merely of history, but of ourselves, our uniqueness, and our place in the cosmic tapestry. Our narratives, built on the assumption of humanity as the singular pinnacle of Earth's intellectual journey, would require a complete re-evaluation. We have long seen ourselves as the first and only species to transcend instinct, to build empires, to unravel the universe's secrets, and to document our journey in intricate detail. This anthropocentric lens has shaped our science, our philosophy, and our very sense of self. But if Earth has hosted other advanced civilizations, their rise and fall predating our own, then humanity is not the unprecedented miracle we once believed.
We become instead a continuation, a subsequent chapter in a story far older and infinitely more complex than we dared to imagine.
This realization is not meant to diminish human achievement. Rather, it amplifies it. Our capacity for creativity, innovation, and self-awareness remains extraordinary. Yet, it places us within a grander lineage, a cyclical procession of life, intelligence, and perhaps even civilization. We are no longer the isolated genesis of consciousness on this blue marble, but part of a continuum, a biological and intellectual legacy that stretches back through epochs we once deemed empty. It challenges the very definition of human uniqueness, not by erasing it, but by contextualizing it within a cosmic narrative. Our path may be distinct, our culture singular, but the potential for intelligent life to emerge and build is, perhaps, a more ubiquitous phenomenon on Earth than we ever conceived. We are not just Earthlings. We are the latest expression of Earth's enduring capacity for complex existence. Such a revelation carries with it a potent warning. The echoes of lost civilizations, whether they built towering structures or retreated into the silent depths, serve as a stark reminder of our own civilization's inherent fragility. We have explored the profound mechanisms of erasure, the relentless grind of tectonic plates, the slow devouring of land by the oceans, the explosive fury of supervolcanoes, the sudden impact of cosmic wanderers, and the ceaseless work of wind and water. These forces, indifferent to the grandeur of any civilization, have systematically swept away countless millennia of existence. If sophisticated societies, perhaps even more advanced than our own, could vanish into the geological record, leaving only the faintest, most debatable traces, what then of our own gleaming cities and intricate networks? Our present era, so confident in its technological prowess and scientific understanding, could, in the vast stretches of deep time, be as ephemeral as the civilizations that came before. We face challenges that resonate with the very reasons earlier societies might have faded. Self-inflicted wounds, such as unchecked technological expansion, ecological devastation, or global conflicts, hold the potential for a self-engineered erasure. If our predecessors met their end through such means, it stands as a chilling testament to the universal perils of advanced civilization. The very materials we deem indestructible, concrete, steel, plastics, would eventually succumb to the planet's patient, relentless forces, becoming indistinguishable from natural geological formations over millions of years, much like we theorized the non-human artifacts might have. This prospect is humbling, a stark counterpoint to our often held belief in our own permanence. It forces us to confront the uncomfortable truth. Our tenure on this planet, however impactful, is but a fleeting moment. The humbling realization deepens further when we consider our place in Earth's infinite story. Our recorded history, spanning a mere few thousand years, is but a recent breath in the planet's 4.5 billion-year saga. If ancient civilizations rose and fell in epochs millions of years ago, then our entire historical narrative is a fraction, a single brightly lit room in a sprawling dark mansion. The grand tale of life on this planet is not a linear progression culminating in us, but a vast, cyclical narrative of emergence, flourishing, decline, and rebirth. Earth is not merely a stage for human drama. It is a dynamic, living entity that has witnessed countless acts, many of which remain hidden beneath layers of rock and time. This understanding repositions humanity. We are not the story, but merely one of its more recent chapters. Our achievements, our struggles, our very existence become part of a continuous flow, a testament to Earth's persistent ability to nurture life and intelligence, even as it reclaims its surface and erases its past. It imbues the planet itself with an unimaginable depth of history, a silent repository of forgotten wonders.
The very ground beneath our feet, the oceans we navigate, the air we breathe, all could be permeated by the ghostly memory of what came before, a silent witness to cycles of creation and disappearance that long predate our species. This perspective fosters a profound sense of humility. It encourages us to look beyond our immediate concerns and fleeting generations, to see our civilization as a link in an unimaginably long chain. It suggests that the quest for knowledge, the building of societies, the very act of intelligence is not an isolated event, but a recurring theme in Earth's deep past. And in this continuity, we find both challenge and inspiration. The challenge lies in recognizing our impermanence, in tempering our hubris with the wisdom gleaned from the planet's vast forgotten archives. The inspiration comes from the resilience of life itself, from the Earth's seemingly endless capacity to reinvent itself, to foster new forms of complexity and consciousness even after cataclysm and decay. This new place in Earth's infinite story means our future is not just about our species, but about our stewardship of this planet and our connection to a cosmic lineage. If we are indeed inheriting a world that has seen countless dawns and dusks of intelligence, then our responsibility is not just to ourselves, but to that deeper history. We are tasked with understanding not only who we are, but what we are. A fleeting but significant expression of a recurring miracle on a living world. The journey into Earth's forgotten past becomes a journey into our own potential future, a mirror reflecting both the heights we can reach and the depths to which all great civilizations may ultimately descend. The grand cyclical story continues, and we, with our fragile yet profound presence, are simply the latest to take the stage.